Thank you, Judge. Ready?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon. Can you just state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Alexander J. Tarapchak, Tarapchak.
Mr. Tarapchak, where do you currently live?
1051 Hillsborough Mile, Hillsborough Beach, Florida.
And who do you live with?
My wife Rachel.
Do you also have residence in another state?
We live in Pennsylvania, but more time in Florida.
So you travel back and forth between here and Pennsylvania?
Correct.
Do you remember an incident that happened April 24th, 2022?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll start from the beginning. Were you in Florida at that time?
Yes.
And did you have plans to go out on a boat that day?
Yes.
And what were those plans?
We were gonna go to Boca Bash and see what it was like, and that was it.
And was this your first time at Boca Bash?
Yes.
What is Boca Bash?
It's just where a bunch of boaters get together and tie up and talk, and it's like a social thing.
Is it like a big party out on the lake?
Yes.
And how do you get to Boca Bash?
By boat.
And did you go with your boat?
Yes,
And do you own that boat?
I did.
And who did you go to Boca Bash with? Or who was on the boat with you?
My wife, Rachel, my sister Sherry, her ex-husband Matt, and neighbor Nick Custro.
And you said Nick Cusro?
Yes.
And who was that to you?
He's a family friend's son.
Do you remember what time you went out to the lake?
Not exactly, I'm gonna say somewhere around noon, we left somewhere.
And on this boat, was there alcohol?
Yes.
What kind of alcohol?
There was some wine, there was some alcohol to make margaritas, maybe some tequila. I think Custro might have brought some kind of seltzer or beer, I'm not sure.
Would that be hard seltzer or just regular seltzer?
I have no idea. I can't, I don't know.
So were you the one driving this boat?
Yes,
And did you drink any alcohol on that day?
I probably consumed throughout the day maybe 2 drinks at the most.
And what kind of alcohol did you consume?
It would have been wine.
Do you remember when the first drink was?
No, I don't.
Do you remember when you stopped drinking?
No, maybe a couple hours before the incident. Again, I didn't really drink too much.
And are you on medication?
I take several different medications.
And what is the medication for?
Blood pressure, cholesterol, cortisol levels.
These medications, do they impair your memory by any chance?
No.
And are you able to drink alcohol while on the medication?
As far as I know.
And when you do drink on the medication, does it affect your ability in any way?
No.
Did you take any drugs on this day?
No.
Do you know if anyone took any drugs?
No.
Do you remember what time you parked the boat in Lake Boca?
I would say, again, takes about a half hour to an hour to get there by boat, so somewhere between 12:30, 1:30, something like that. 12 and 1, I'm not positive.
And do you remember if you parked by the inlet or was it more towards the sandbar?
I would say it would be closer to the inlet. It was pretty busy and the sandbar was just jammed.
And you said busy. Were there a lot of boats present?
Yes,
So were there a lot of people?
yes.
When did you first notice Caroline Schwitzsky?
When she was about maybe 5 or 6 feet from our boat.
Was this when the incident happened?
Yes.
And have you ever met Caroline Schwitzsky before?
No.
Have you met Mr. Cole Goldberg before?
No.
Have you, prior to this incident, seen him?
No.
Okay, I just showed defense counsel State's Exhibit 5. Can I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
Do you recognize that photo?
Yes.
Okay. Is that your boat in the photo?
Yes.
And is that a fair and accurate representation of the day you guys went to Boca Bash?
It appears to be.
And when the incident occurred?
Yes.
Okay. You can just set it down. Okay. State moves into evidence, State's Exhibit 4.
4 or 5.
5.
Any legal objection, states exhibit number 5.
No, kid.
Received in evidence without objection, states exhibit number 5.
And Mr. Tarapchak, can you just circle with the marker that I think it's right next to you, where you were? You can put the letter A to indicate where you were present.
Boy, I wish I had my reading glasses on. I'm gonna say right about here.
Okay. And where was, it could be the general area.
Okay.
And where was Caroline Schwitzsky when you first noticed her?
Oh, in the
In the
water?
water.
Okay, yeah. I would say she would have been,
You can put a letter C to indicate where she was.
okay, right around there.
Okay, perfect. Just take that. You can take the marker too.
Thank you.
Permission to publish?
You may.
So when you first noticed Ms. Schwitzky, what were you doing at the time?
We had just actually swam out to the sandbar and we were swimming back on our boat. So I was just getting on the boat within maybe 30 seconds or so.
You were in the process of getting onto the boat.
I was already on the boat for
Okay,
about
on the
30
boat.
seconds, and I believe at that time I was helping my wife up. I think I was just helping her on the boat.
Okay. Did Ms. Schwitzky appear to be in distress?
Yes, she was breathing heavy, gasping for air. She said she was very tired, and she asked if she could borrow a floaty or a flotation device or something to that effect.
And did she get that flotation device?
Yes, my wife Rachel threw her
Okay.
like a small circular float.
And is this something that you can sit in?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And at that time, did you notice a male come up to her?
Probably within seconds, I saw a male come up behind her.
And how did he appear?
He appeared like angry and kind of in some type of rage, kind of an altered state.
And do you see that male here today?
Yes,
Okay. Just point him out and describe what he's wearing.
very good.
Okay, and what is he wearing?
Oh, right now?
Yes.
A suit and tie.
Okay, let the record reflect that the witness positively identified Mr. Cole Goldberg.
Record shall so reflect.
So when you first noticed Mr. Goldberg, did it look like he had trouble swimming?
No,
Did Ms. Schwitzky look like she was having trouble swimming?
absolutely.
When Mr. Goldberg caught up to Ms. Schwitzsky, did she have that floaty with her?
I believe she had it in her hands. She wasn't sitting, but she had it in her hands. I don't know if one hand or two hands, but she had it.
Was anyone else in the water with Ms. Schwitzsky and Mr. Goldberg?
To the left of them was Matt Paris.
So when you see Mr. Goldberg behind Ms. Schwitzsky, describe what he did.
He literally jumped up out of the water and grabbed her by the neck from behind and forced her down under the water by her neck and shoulders.
Do you recall if Mr. Goldberg was wearing a backpack?
I do not recall.
And would you be able to demonstrate on one of us how he put his hands on her?
Sure.
So we're gonna ask you to sit down, just make sure if you say anything, that you say it, whatever you say in the microphone, okay?
So you can step down, just
Okay.
watch where you're going. And then in the microphone, when you're describing it, just make sure it's in the microphone so we can hear it.
Okay. So he approached her up high in the air, grabbed her like this, two hands on the neck, pushed down this way, and she was only up for a split second, then she was down. And then I did not see her at that point. She was submerged, fully submerged.
And so did it look like he applied force to push her down?
Oh, absolutely.
You can go back up. Thank you. At any point, well, how long would you say she was underwater for?
I mean, it happened fast. I would say that, first of all, we're all looking at it, like, what was going on? Was this, was he playing around? Was this, what was happening? So I think we all just kind of looked for 5, 6, maybe 10 seconds and realized that he was trying to kill her. And that this was a serious situation. So I'm going to say at least 10 seconds, and then I remember yelling to Matt, my brother-in-law, to help the girl, and then I asked Nick Cosgrove to get the boat hook and to get him away from her.
Okay. And when you say it looked like he was trying to kill her, describe what that means.
He was just enraged. I was yelling at him, like, leave her alone, get away, and he just was, like, he was focused on keeping her down.
And do you remember if he was yelling something?
No, he did not respond to anybody. He was focused just on pushing her on and keeping her down.
Did it look like he was using Ms. Schwitzsky to keep himself afloat?
Absolutely not.
And while this was happening, where was that flotation device?
I believe as soon as he jumped on her from behind, it flew away. Like, just floated away.
And do you know how deep that water was?
I mean, I know that we couldn't stand, and just by being in the lake, I would say it's got to be 8 to 10 feet, I would think.
And you said you couldn't stand while you were in the water?
No, absolutely not.
This was nowhere, was this anywhere near the sandbar where you guys were?
No.
Okay, so back to when Mr. Paris had to intervene. How did he break this altercation up?
He pulled her loose, but I don't know exactly how because it was underwater, so I know somehow he broke her loose. And at the same time, I had the boat hook and told him to leave her alone, get away.
Did Mr. Goldberg try to go after her?
He did, he pursued her again.
Is that when he tried to get on your boat?
No,
When he was pursuing her, is that when you asked for the boat hook?
no, when he started to push her under, then I had asked for the boat hook. When I realized that there was a situation there.
Do you remember at that time when you got the boat hook how Mr. Goldberg was acting?
The same, just focused, intent on drowning.
Who else was on this boat when this was happening?
My boat.
On your boat?
My wife was on the boat at that time. My sister Sherry was on the boat. Matt was obviously in the water, and Nick Custer was in the front of the boat. I'd say front to mid of the boat.
So, for the most part, everyone was on the back of the boat.
Yes.
And how far away did this incident happen? Would you say it's from where you are sitting from where I am?
No, it's closer than that. I would
Closer?
say maybe 6 feet if I had to estimate, 5-6 feet
Okay.
from the back of the boat.
How was well, let's go back a little bit. When you got the boat hook, did Ms. Schwitzsky get on your boat
After
the incident?
Yes, after Goldberg got away, then my wife helped her back, helped her out.
Okay. And how was her demeanor like?
She was scared, frightened, totally out of breath, crying, hysterical.
Was she coughing?
Yes.
Was her hair wet?
Yes.
Did you see where Mr. Goldberg went?
I noticed that he was swimming to a boat that was behind us, and then they pulled away. And then I noticed, I don't know how much longer, a few minutes later, I saw the boat pull closer to him, and then I saw him get back up onto the boat.
Okay. So did Mr. Goldberg eventually try to make it back to your boat?
I would say, I don't know, time frame, 10, 15 minutes later, we have what they call a beach door on the side of the boat. So it's a part of the side of the boat that comes down. And I noticed him hanging onto the beach door, calling Miss Caroline or whatever over.
So you didn't see him swim to your boat the second time?
No, I just saw him on the boat,
Okay.
like hanging onto the side.
So part of his body was still in the water and he was just hanging on to the side of the boat?
Yes.
And at that time when you noticed him hanging off the side of the boat, how was he acting at this time?
He seemed like he was crying or whining. He was just like crying there. And then she came over to him and they had a conversation. I said, buddy, you gotta get out of here. And he refused. And I said, look get off my boat. Get away, or I'm gonna call the cops. He refused, and then I summoned the cops over.
So would you say that his behavior the second time around was different than when you first saw him?
Absolutely.
In your opinion, when you saw Mr. Goldberg, did he seem intoxicated when this was happening?
I honestly don't. I didn't. I mean, he was in the water the whole time. I, didn't really hear him talk too much, other than when I did tell him to get away originally. I said, you need to get away, and he said, that's my girl. And I remember telling him, well, that doesn't give you the right to kill her.
So when you saw the incident occurring, did it make you upset?
Yes.
And when you got the boat hook, were you yelling at Mr. Goldberg?
Yes, I believe I told him to leave her alone, or I was going to hit him with the boat hook.
And when you had that boat hook, was it raised?
Yes, it was raised.
Okay. And did you point that boat hook towards, at him?
Yes, I did,
Okay.
sure. I think that's why, one of the reasons that he let her go, and that Matt was able to free her up.
And did you do that sort of like in defense of Ms. Schwitzsky?
Absolutely.
And When you saw Ms. Schwitzsky talking to Mr. Goldberg, did that make you upset?
I just didn't want any part of the situation. I didn't want the guy in the boat. We were there just to have fun and talk to our friends and family. We didn't want to deal with any of this nonsense.
Did you call 911?
No.
Do you know if anyone called 911?
My sister Sherry may have, but I'm not sure.
Okay. How were police involved?
That's when I waved the police over.
Okay, so you waved them down.
I waved them down, flagged them down, yes.
And so when this was happening, or when Schwitzsky and Goldberg were on the boat, you saw FWC patrolling on a boat and you waved them down?
Yes.
And so did the police eventually get onto your boat?
Yes.
And did you give them a statement?
I did.
Nothing further.
President.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Hello.
You just testified before the court that the reason that Cole let Carolyn go was because you threatened him with a boat hook, right?
I said I think it facilitated in that Matt Paris pulled her away simultaneously.
Well, no, what I heard you say is that the reason that Cole let her go was because you threatened him with the boat hook. Is that not what you just said?
I said I think that was part of the reason. I don't think I said that was the only reason.
She was already on the boat when you got the boat hook. Isn't that
Absolutely
true?
not. No,
yes, she
not at all.
was.
Were you there?
Did you see the body-worn camera, sir? The recording in this that was taken by law enforcement? Did you ever watch that?
I may have seen it, yeah.
Okay. So you're telling this judge that you used that gaff or hook while he was still threatened him while he was still in the water with Caroline?
Again, you just misspoke. You said, while she was on the boat. She was in the water, and so you misspoke.
Isn't it true that the first time that you took that hook was when Caroline was on the water and Cole was holding onto the edge of your boat?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. Cole was holding onto the edge of the boat, was he not, after Caroline was on your boat?
That's correct.
And he was holding on there for quite some time, right?
I would say a minute, 2 minutes before the cops came. It's pretty quick.
Okay. And were you holding that gaff and threatening him while he was holding on to the boat?
No, when he was in the water.
He was in the water holding on to the edge of your
when
boat.
he was in the water with his hands around her neck.
That's when you...
Pushing her in the water, submerging her, trying to kill her.
Okay,
That's when I brought the boat.
That's when you what?
Brought the boat when I had Nick bring the boat hook over, and I said, leave the girl alone, or I'm gonna hit you with this boat hook, and at the same time, Matt Paris freed her loose.
Okay. And you never used it again, correct?
Used it, I didn't use it at all.
You never threatened him with it again. Is that your testimony?
To the best of my recollection, maybe when he came back on, when he was hanging off the boat, but I don't think so.
Okay.
I just warned him
But
to
it's
stay away
possible.
from the boat.
But it's
Is it
possible.
possible? I guess it could be possible. I just said, I just want you off the boat, get off the boat. I don't remember coming with the boat hook again, no, I do not remember that.
Well, at no time did Cole try to climb the ladder to get on the boat, did he?
No, he was trying to lift himself on the boat from the beach shore.
And you don't know if that was because he was trying to gain composure because he felt as though he had been drowning, right?
I cannot say what's going through his mind, but he was crying to her on the side of the boat.
The first time he was there or the second time?
Second time.
I'm
First
talking
time.
about the first time.
The first time?
Yes.
Repeat your question, please.
Sure. My impression was, based on your testimony, is that Cole continued to threaten Caroline the first time he was there after the drowning. Is that not true? Is that what you not said?
I don't believe that's what I said. I said he was on top of her from behind, submerging in the water, and that's when I got the boat hook. I did not say that he was talking to her at that point.
All right, so
I said he was in a state of rage and was keeping her down, saying nothing.
okay, so let's go back to the very first time that Mr. Goldberg was at the edge of your boat, okay? After the drowning, after the attempted murder, however you want to characterize it, Is it true that Cole went to the edge of your boat, to the back of your boat, and was holding on to it?
That's what I said, he was hanging onto
Okay.
the side of the boat.
All right.
Beach sort of is.
He was holding on to some part of your boat, right?
That's what I said, yeah.
All right. And you don't know whether he was doing that in order to gain composure, because he had just felt as though he had been drowning. You don't know that, right?
I don't know what I just said, I don't know what he was thinking.
Okay.
But he was not appearing to be drowning, he was not in any distress.
You don't know.
He was
You're not.
crying, I said he was crying, that's what I said. He wasn't
Objection
saying-
unresponsive, move to strike.
So, all right, we need to proceed by question and answer. Perla will ask a question, you'll answer, then after he answers, you'll ask the next question.
You don't know whether he was in distress from having just almost drowned, right?
Again, you're classifying something that I did not witness. All I saw was him on the side of my boat, and he was not.
Objection
in any
unresponsive,
distress.
moves to strike.
I think that's his answer.
Okay? When Cole was at the edge of the boat, the first time that he was there, he did not make any threatening comments to Caroline, did he?
When you say the first time when he was hanging off the door?
The first time, well, you know that there's two times, right? The first time, he came and he allegedly tried to kill her or drown her, and then he was hanging on your boat, he swam away.
No, you didn't.
Let me finish
So,
my
you have to
question,
let her
sir.
finish her question before you start answering.
Okay. Follow the rules. After, he then swam away, and sometime later, 10, 15 minutes later, he came back. That was the second time. Is that
Right.
correct?
That's the second time. The first time you were saying.
I'm not, there's no question pending, sir. Was this the manner in which you were dealing with him that day on the boat?
No. What I'm
Were you
saying-
aggressive that day?
I don't believe I'm being aggressive at all, but you're
Okay.
misinterpreting or
No, I'm
saying what you're misspeaking.
Okay. Is this the way you were dealing with everything? Just on your trajectory, not concerned with what was really going on? Just had an image in your mind of what the truth and the narrative was? Is that how you were acting that day too?
Objection, asked and answered, and argumentative.
Overruled.
Is that the way you were acting that day too, sir?
No.
You took that gap. You went up to him and you were threatening him, right?
No, absolutely not.
You told this young man he was a disgrace and should never become a lawyer. Remember telling him that?
Not at that time.
At some point, I didn't say what time, I said you said that to him, did you not?
Again, I will be more than happy to tell you when I said it.
I'm not interested in when. My question again, sir, listen to the question. Sometime during your interaction with him, you went up to this young man, you pointed your finger at him and said, you are a disgrace and you should never be a lawyer. You remember saying that to
I
him?
did
Objection,
not.
relevance.
I did not go up to him and say that.
Okay, so you said it from a distance. Let's play games with words. You
Well,
said
if
that
you're
to
saying
him.
a word, I'm going to
Question and
tell you
answer,
when you're
please, or
correct
else
not
the point.
correct.
Can I
So
talk?
I'm
Let me
sorry.
talk.
I mean, but I don't
I got it.
appreciate her putting
I
things
understand.
into my mouth and
I-
making up her own.
Are you gonna let me talk, sir?
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
We need to proceed by question and answer, one person at a time.
Okay.
Let her ask her question, you'll give your answer, and then the state will get a chance to ask questions afterwards. But otherwise, we're gonna be here all day.
Okay.
So, my question is, not when, but isn't it true that at some point during this event, you said to Cole, you are a disgrace and you should never be a lawyer? Do you remember telling him that?
I do.
Do you remember when the police were flagged over to your vessel, that before they even made it to your boat, you were yelling at them, he's an attempted murderer, he's an attempted murderer, at least 3 times, according to the body-worn recording. Do you remember that?
No, I said that when they were on the boat, not when they were coming up to the boat.
Okay.
I believe I said, if you want to hear, that I believe he tried, I said, this man just tried to kill this girl.
And you told him that he was an attempted murderer, right? You said that.
After they were on the boat, I said that, correct.
Okay. So your testimony is you didn't say it when they were coming to the boat, but once they were on the boat, you told the law enforcement officers that he was an attempted murderer, right?
I said,
Those were your words, sir, were they not?
I said he attempted to murder her. That's
Okay.
what I believe I said.
Right. So right from the outset, and you said that to law enforcement in front of Rachel and Nick and Sherry and Matt, right? Everyone was on the boat, and you're screaming he's an attempted murderer. You remember that?
Again, I don't think I was screaming it, but I did say, I do remember making that statement, yes.
Okay. So you, after you said that, the police officer then says to all of you, are you willing to make a statement? Do you remember that?
Yes,
Okay. And you each provided a written statement, did you not?
that's correct.
Okay, and you all provided this written statement. You were very close proximity to one another. You were all talking amongst yourselves about what you saw, right?
I believe, to the best of my memory, that they separated us and had us write out separate statements.
Okay. So this is, where were you separated from the others? Tell me. Where did you write your statement, and tell me where the others wrote their statements?
I believe, again, that I was in the midsection of the boat when I wrote it.
Okay. And where were the others when they were writing their statements?
I don't know if we wrote them all at the same time. I don't know. I think my sister was up front. I think maybe Rachel might have been on the other side of the boat.
Okay, and we're talking just a few feet here or there, are we not?
No, maybe 5 to 10 feet away.
Okay. And you remember them sharing pens and talking about what had happened and what had occurred?
Not at the time we were writing the statement, no.
Do you remember talking about what had occurred before you wrote your statements, after you had already told law enforcement he was an attempted murderer?
I do not.
Do you remember giving the officer a hard time, saying, I'm not interested in being in the newspaper? Do you remember telling him that?
That's correct.
Do you remember telling the officer that you were not even interested in providing a written statement because the alleged victim was fine and wanted nothing to do with this? Do you remember that?
I did not say that she was fine. What I did say is that if she's not going to pursue this, then why would I pursue it?
And why was she not going to pursue this?
I don't know, honestly don't know.
Okay? Because nothing happened to her, right?
Objection
Nothing happened to
recommended.
her.
Sustained. Next question.
You testified just a moment ago that when you were asked about your medication, you testified that I think you said you were on 3 or 4 different medications. You rattled off a few names, right?
Prescription medications, yes. and
Understood. Isn't it true that you previously testified that you take 20 different medications?
Well, I'm counting supplements into that. Like I take CoQ10, resveratrol, a bunch of things that are not prescription.
And none of those would affect your ability to recall?
No,
Okay. And you can drink alcohol safely with these 20 different medications?
again, maybe medications would be incorrect. I don't know if you call vitamin D medication, supplement, whatever you want to call
Well, that was your terminology, so I'm just using your word.
it. Okay.
And isn't it true that you actually had wine and mixed drinks that day?
I might have sampled just to taste the margarita that I made or something.
So tell the judge, what do you mean by you sampled a margarita? I'm
Because I made them, and then I would just taste them, make sure they tasted good, and then serve them to everybody.
Okay. You remember giving a deposition where you testified that you actually had a mixed drink that day?
It could have all added up to a mixed drink,
All right. So how many sips did you have to add up to one mixed drink?
5 or 6 maybe.
You're not trying to minimize what you drank that day, right?
No, like I said, I had about 2 drinks. I'm not a big drinker.
You're the captain of the boat?
That's correct.
Okay. And did Matt, was he charged with being the captain of the boat at all?
Sometimes Matt helps me out.
Did Matt drive the boat that day?
I don't recall.
Okay. You were the one that was driving, right? It was your responsibility.
I drove there, correct.
And you drove back, right?
I think I drove back, actually, but I'm not positive.
But you clearly had alcohol on your boat. You're not challenging that, right?
No,
There were bottles of hard liquor, seltzers, beer, wine, is that correct?
again, I testified to wine, I think 1 or 2 bottles of hard alcohol, and again, I don't know if they cut zero bottles, but it could have been beer or seltzer, something I can't. I don't know.
And a blender, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Tell me about how much alcohol Matt drank that day, if you know.
I don't know.
Did you mix him any drinks?
I just made a batch, and whether he had one or not, I can't answer that.
What about Sherry? How much did she drink?
Sherry, I don't think she drinks too much.
Well, how much did she drink that day? Not whether she drinks so much or not.
I don't think she had any that I can remember. I just do not remember her drinking. No.
So she had nothing, and Matt may have had one, but you're not sure?
I'm not sure, no.
Okay. What about Rachel? How much did she drink that day?
She might have had a couple of drinks. Again, I don't sit and watch what everybody's drinking.
I'm asking you if you know.
Yeah, I don't,
So a couple of drinks?
yeah, maybe, I don't know. No idea.
What about Nick? Was he drinking alcohol?
Like I said, he had something he was drinking out of a can, seltzer, beer, whatever it was.
But you don't really know.
No,
You testified also that Rachel drew her floaty to Caroline, right?
she threw it, yes.
Okay. So it was Rachel's floaty, or the floaty that Rachel threw that Caroline used in order to save herself and get out of the water. Is that right?
Rachel threw a floaty too, yes.
It wasn't Matt who had threw her a floaty. Is that correct?
Not in my recollection.
Where was everybody on the boat when you? Well, let me ask it this way. Where were you when you first noticed Caroline in the water? Where were you on the boat?
Back of the boat.
And where was Rachel?
She was just getting on, I just helped Rachel on the boat, so she was also on the back of the boat.
And where was Nick?
Nick was up towards the front of the boat.
And Sherry?
Sherry was somewhere in the back of the boat.
And Matt was in the water, is that correct?
That's correct.
And Matt would have been the closest to Carolyn?
Yes.
So not you. You would not have been the closest to Carolyn, is that correct?
Well, he was in the water, so I would say I'd say we were probably maybe equidistant, maybe 5-6 feet from her, but we were on board, and Matt was in the water, so it's somewhere in that vicinity. I don't remember the exact.
Okay. Do you remember Officer Hudson or any of the officers there, it was a male officer, who told you after you were reluctant to give a written statement, just imagine if this were your daughter, and that prompted you to then write the statement. Do you remember him saying something like that?
I remember him saying that, but I don't believe that would have prompted me to say that, but he did say that, yes.
And he said that in front of all of the people on the boat?
I don't know who was there when he spoke to me. I know they were trying to keep everybody separate. I know that when they got on the boat, they tried to keep everybody apart. I do remember that.
Well, do you remember Matt being at the back of the boat where there's a little table, sitting there with a woman, it was either your wife or his wife at the time, writing their statements together? Do you remember that?
I can't specifically say I remember where everybody was. I can't.
So you don't really know if they were all separated?
No, I just said the officers attempted to separate everybody. Whether
Oh.
they were all separated, I don't know. But he tried to keep everybody separated as much as he could.
Okay, so now there was an attempt to separate, but you're not really sure if everybody was.
That's
correct?
Sure.
You didn't want to come here today and testify, is that correct?
That's not correct.
Did you give the state a hard time about coming?
No.
Did you tell the state that you wanted an order from the judge in order to come here and testify?
Absolutely not.
Do you have any idea why there was such an order issued in order to get you here? Do you have any idea?
I do not.
You did not call 911, did you?
I said that before.
I'm asking you now. You did not call 911, did you?
No, I did not.
You had a phone, right?
My phone was on the boat, but it wasn't with me per se.
Well, it wasn't maybe on your side, but you had a phone up with you that day, did you not?
That's correct.
And you didn't call 911.
That's correct.
You didn't call 911 after you witnessed this attempted murder, right?
That's correct.
And after Mr. Goldberg left and went back to somewhere where you did not see where he went, you did not call 911 to report this attempted murder, did you not?
That's correct.
And when Mr. Goldberg came back to your boat a second time, you did not call 911 to report this alleged murder, attempted murder, right?
That's correct. That's why I said I waved the officers down.
Right. You never gave Caroline a phone, did you?
Not that I'm aware of now.
Well, did she ever ask you for a phone?
I don't remember that much.
I'm sorry?
Actually, I don't remember having much conversation with her. I think my wife and my sister were mostly talking to her.
Okay. So, may I approach the witness?
You may.
I'm showing you what's in evidence as defense number 12. Does this look like Carolyn? I know you can't see her face, but her bathing suit? Or you can't tell?
How would I?
So you don't know if this was her? You don't recognize this?
I mean, I know the girl had a red bathing suit on, but
So you-
how can I can't identify somebody from over 4 years ago.
Okay, so you can't say this is her or not?
No,
Does this phone look familiar? Is that a phone, is that your phone?
I don't believe it's my phone. I don't remember having a phone for like that.
And you don't remember giving her a phone, right?
I do not.
You don't remember anybody on your boat giving her a phone, do you?
Again, I don't remember. Again, my wife and my sister were talking to her, so I don't know if they could have. I don't.
You don't really know, you're just
I don't
guessing.
remember. You asked if I remember. I said no. I do not remember.
All right, that was my question.
And
But
that's why I
you-
said no. I don't
No,
remember.
you said, well, this one could have, this one could have, that one could have. I asked you if you remembered.
I do not.
There you go. Let me show you some pictures. May I approach the witness?
You may.
Showing you defense number 2. Here's what look, well, do you recognize this?
Yes, that looks like her.
Okay, does this appear to be the same red bathing suit as the one I just showed you over there that you said you didn't know, or you can't tell?
Appears to be the same.
Okay. And is this the way Ms. Schwitzsky appeared that day?
If that's a picture of her, I guess.
Well, this is your boat, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this picture appears to have been taken on your boat, right?
It appears to be.
Okay. And this time would move defense number 2 with evidence?
Any legal objection to defense exhibit number 2?
There.
I'll receive defense 2 and evidence without objection.
Okay, so do you see any markings or injuries to her neck? And your testimony was that Mr. Goldberg grabbed her around the neck with both hands, not on the shoulders, but around her neck, right?
Around her neck and shoulders.
Okay. Earlier you demonstrated right here that it was around the neck like this. Did you not?
And shoulders, correct.
Mr. Billy, you're gonna have to go by microphone or your phone call saying they can't pick you up.
Thank you, Judge, I will. There's not a single injury on her neck or chest, is there?
Not that I can see.
It's awkward, isn't it? When Miss Schwitzsky got on your boat, not only did you not observe any injuries, as you just said, you did not have to administer CPR. Nobody on the boat had to administer CPR, right?
No.
Nobody had to lay on her side to expel any water from the drowning.
No.
You didn't observe any scratches or fresh blood or any marks or anything like that.
She did show us that she had bruises or marks or something on, I believe it was her forearms, that she said he was holding her from earlier or something, I don't know. But
Okay. And those bruises were on her arms and they were brown, were they not?
I don't remember the color. She just said, look, I have bruises on my hands when he was grabbing me.
They weren't fresh bruises, right?
I'm not equipped to say when they were administered.
She didn't have any nosebleed, right?
No, she did not.
She wasn't complaining about dizziness, right?
She was, I wouldn't say dizzy, no.
She wasn't having any difficulty speaking to you or communicating with you, right?
No, she was shaken up, she was coughing, she was in distress.
My question was, she didn't have any difficulty speaking.
Well, I would say she wouldn't speak normally. No, she wasn't speaking normally. No, she was gasping, struggling to speak.
She didn't have any confusion or exhibit any signs of confusion, right?
I would say she was panicked. I don't know if she was confused, but panicked.
She didn't lose consciousness, right, or pass out?
She did not lose consciousness.
She didn't have red, bloodshot eyes, right?
Not that I noticed. I really wasn't looking at her eyes.
She wasn't having any trouble catching her breath, was she?
Yes.
Do you remember somebody giving her a red Solo cup with some liquid in it for her to drink? after the incident?
I believe in it. I really don't remember. I think they offered her some water, but I don't remember.
Who's they? Who gave it to her?
Either my wife or my sister. They were, trying to console her and talk to her.
And she was able to drink the liquid, right?
I really wasn't observing.
You never observed her drinking from the red Solo cup?
I can't remember.
When Mr. Goldberg came back the second time, do you remember him having a backpack on?
I can't say I remember that.
Okay. And you remember him holding on the back of the boat at that point?
Again, he would be, I'd say, more of like the side of the boat.
Or the side of the boat?
Yes,
Holding onto your boat.
that's correct.
And that's when you waved over law enforcement, correct?
That's correct.
At that point, when he was holding on to the side of your boat, or wherever part of your boat you want to call it, was he making any threats to Miss Schwitzsky at that point?
I didn't hear what he was saying or what was happening. I just heard him sobbing, and he just said, "Get off my boat." He refused. I called the cops. It was a quick interaction.
Okay. Do you remember Miss Schwitzsky leaning down at the back or side of your boat, offering him comfort and holding his hands the second time he was there?
I cannot say I remember her holding his hands. I remember her leaning over and speaking to him. I remember him whimpering, and I asked him to leave. He didn't leave. I called the cops. That's all I remember.
Okay.